Well, hey there, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I don't know why it's so bright right now. It's so weird. And it's making my face like really, really, really bright. I don't know why. I don't know how to fix that, but we are just going to go with it. So, welcome everyone here today for our Tip Tuesday, but rescheduled to Wednesday. We are going to get started here. If you are here live, say hi in the comments. Otherwise, if you've got questions, drop them in the comments as well, and I will make sure I get to them. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. We've got some slides for you all. And today's topic, hold on, we got a lot going on here. Let's get rid of this. Let's also get rid of this. Today's topic is last minute business financial to-dos before the new year. So I figured I would bring this one to y'all because even though we're in the holidays, we're probably not thinking about the money stuff in our business. There are some things we should be doing right now as we're coming up on the new year to make sure that financially our businesses are prepared for next year. So I think I've got 7 easy steps for you. Most of these are easy. Most of these are pretty quick and simple, but they're all really important to set yourself up right for next year. So let's go ahead and dive in. Can't speak, been talking all day. Number 1, if you haven't already done this, set up a bank account and an accounting system. So whether you are an LLC or a sole proprietor, oh, hold on, my phone's ringing. An LLC or a sole proprietor, whatever your business type is, I highly encourage you to have a separate bank account for your business. Now, it's actually required if you are a separate legal entity. If your business is a separate legal entity, you've got to have your own bank account for that. But even if you're a sole proprietor, I highly recommend setting up a separate bank account for a variety of reasons. But one of them in particular is that it's just easier to track the money in your business if it's in a separate account, separate from your personal. I also highly recommend you have a good accounting system set up. Now, the accounting system doesn't need to be fancy. There are a few things that I look for. Number 1, is it easy to set up and easy to use? Number 2, does it automatically sync with your bank? This is key. You want it to, so that the transactions just automatically come into your accounting system. You don't have to manually enter anything. And number 3, does it deliver you reports? For example, your income statement. Or cash flow, some reports that you'd want to look at to be able to see how the money in your business is going. I highly recommend a tool called Wave Apps, WAVEAPPS. And let me see, I think I may have this one up here. I usually do, I don't right now. So let me go ahead and create this. So waveapps.com, and it's a completely free accounting system. It's very easy to set up and use. It syncs with most bank accounts. There are some paid levels, but for the most part, most people aren't going to need those. So I highly recommend getting yourself set up on this. Let me know if you have any questions as you're navigating all that. I get a lot of people who ask me about QuickBooks. I'm not against QuickBooks. I just think that for most people, QuickBooks is more than you need, and it, in my opinion, tends to be a bit more complicated. So this is why I recommend Wave Apps. All right, so that's number 1, setting up a bank account and an accounting system. Also, too, I didn't think about this, but if you're looking for a bank account, I highly recommend Novo, N-O-V-O. They are a fabulous online bank designed for business owners. They're connected with a regional bank, so I like that I'm kind of supporting local, but still getting the benefits of having an online bank that's easy to use. And you can learn more about them or sign up by going to megkwheeler.com/Novo. So that's number 1, set up a bank account, set up an accounting system. The end of the year is a great time to do this because it's a clean cutoff, right? So if you can get all these things started so that they start on January 1st, then everything's super clean and you can make that transition at the beginning of the year. So I highly recommend doing that now. All right, next we have revisit your entity selection. So look, if you are a sole proprietor, you may want to consider, should I become an LLC? Should I become a partnership? Should I become a C corporation? Those are all different entity options. Now, I'm not going to recommend one to you. I'm not an attorney, but these are things you should consider, because the entity you choose, the legal entity you choose, can affect a few things. It can affect your legal liability, but it also can affect your tax status as well. So I recommend looking into the options, talking with an attorney, and figuring out which one makes the most sense for you. Excuse me. There's also another option that I just want to mention here, which is called an S Corp or an S Corporation. Now, an S Corporation isn't a legal entity. Hold on, I need water. An S corporation isn't a legal entity. It is a tax classification, but in order to elect S Corp status, you do need to be an LLC or a C corporation. So if it made sense for you to become an S Corp or to have that status, you would want to go ahead and form that LLC or that C corporation first, so then you can make the S Corp election. That election to be classified as an S corporation has to be made by March 15th of the year for the current year. So that's why I'm telling you to think about it now, because if you want to be taxed as an S corporation, there are benefits to it. Then you're going to want to make sure you do that election by March 15th. That election is filed with the IRS. It's not super complicated, but there are a few things that you've got to know and put into place in order to make the election. One of which, for example, is actually getting yourself set up on payroll. Because when you have an S corporation, you have to pay yourself as the owner through payroll, much like you would an employee. So think about that now so that you've got plenty of time to work with an attorney if you're going to set up an LLC or a C corporation or partnership, and then work with an accountant if you're going to make the S corporation election. Speaking of which, I do support folks with that S corporation election. So if you have questions, feel free to DM me or just comment below and I'll reach out to you, and I'm happy to answer your questions about that. Okay, so step number 3, select and hire a tax accountant. Now, we are coming up on tax filing season. So for most folks, your income tax deadline is going to be April 15th if you're here in the US. If you have an S corporation, the S corporation has to file a return by March 15th. But individual tax returns are due April 15th with the option to extend to October 15th. And so this is the time really to start thinking about whether or not you want to have someone do your taxes for you. So, and I actually talked about this. I've been doing 10 days of tax tips over on Instagram. So if you go check out my IGTV, today's tax tip was actually about not leaving this stuff till the very last minute. And basically what I said was, whether you're going to DIY your taxes or have someone do them for you, start thinking about what your plan for that is now, because tax season is going to come up quicker than you realize. And if you're doing them yourself, you want to make sure you've got enough time to be able to do all of the forms, get all of the information, track down missing information, and then step away from them so that you can come back and review your taxes with kind of a clean mind, or a fresh mind, I guess, a rested mind, so that you can catch any mistakes. And if you are having someone do your taxes for you, most tax accountants are actually booking up their client rosters right now, maybe into January. But if it's February or March and you're trying to find an accountant to do your taxes for April, that can often be really, really challenging. So I highly recommend you start talking to folks now, get someone locked in before it's too late. I will put another plug in here as well, that I have opened up spots for my Done For You tax package, megkwheeler.com/tax. And I've got a great deal right now where if you grab your spot by December 31st, you will get 2 tax years prepped for the price of 1. So go check it out at megkwheeler.com/tax. Okay, so to do number 4, let's come back over here for a hot second. To do number 4 is to prepare your tax documents. Now, look, I'm not suggesting that you need to have all of your tax stuff figured out and ready by December 31st. And frankly, you can't, because you are still waiting on W-2s and 1099s and all those forms that people send you that you need to prepare your taxes. But what I do like to do at the end of the year is get the stuff together that I can. So for example, charitable contributions. If I've made any deductions, donations to charities or nonprofits throughout the year, I like to gather all those and make sure I've got all those in one folder. If I, what else would I have done? If I paid any taxes during the year, so like property taxes or excise tax, anything like that, sales tax, I like to gather up that documentation. So I like to get the stuff together that I already have that I can access through my own records, get it all together and organized so that going into the new year, I don't have to worry about doing that. And I can just get all of that to the person who does my taxes, and then, which is me, but get it into my system. And then as I receive those forms that come in, the necessary forms to complete my taxes, then it's just easy enough to go pop those numbers in and I'm ready to go. So bottom line is, don't leave it till February, March, or April. Start getting some of that stuff organized. Cool. All right, to do number 5, maximize deductions and reduce income. Now, I want to caveat this by saying a couple of things. Number 1, what I'm about to suggest is only for cash basis taxpayers, meaning that you recognize income when you receive the money and you recognize expenses when you actually pay the expenses. Most people are cash basis taxpayers, at least in this community, so that's probably you, but I do just want to point that out. The other caveat I want to say is the tips I'm going to suggest, please only do them if they make sense financially for your business. So I don't want you to put yourself in a bad cash flow situation or spend money on things you don't need just to get a tax deduction. Please don't do that. It's not worth it. Now, how do you maximize your deductions? Well, think about, are there any expenses that you were going to pay for in January that you can actually pay for now? And basically accelerate that deduction, put that expense in December versus January. On the flip side, and actually one thing I want to say about that, the way the rules are written, you can actually put something on your credit card in December, and then that bill doesn't come due till January. So you're actually not paying for it. You're not physically writing the check for it till January. But because you put it on your business credit card in December, you can take that deduction. So that's another way that you can actually maximize your deductions. And in that case, actually put off paying for it until January. On the flip side, think about how you can reduce your income. Now, again, I want to be clear here. Don't do this if this is going to hurt your cash flow situation. But do you have invoices that you haven't sent yet that perhaps you can wait till January to send? Things that you haven't billed people for, or things that people are going to pay you for, but they haven't paid you for yet. Can you push those into January? If you can, you're deferring the income till January, and therefore deferring the tax that you'll owe on that income to 2021 versus 2020. Again, though, do not do this if it's going to hurt you financially otherwise. Only do this if you're able to. And especially with this one, I also say only do this if you're confident the client is going to pay. If you've got a new client or somebody you've never worked with, or you're not really sure how reliable they're going to be, then I'd probably get that payment now, and I wouldn't worry about deferring the tax hit. Okay. All right, to do number 6, max out your retirement contributions. Now, I just did also in my 10 days of tax tips, again, over on Instagram TV, I just did, and I forget if it was day 5 or day 6, somewhere around the middle there. I did tax tips on the different retirement contribution options, so the different retirement plan options. So I'm not going to go over them today. Go check out that video. Meg K. Wheeler is my Instagram handle. Again, they're on IGTV. You'll see a 10 days of tax tips series. So again, it's probably day 5 or day 6. But you have a few options with retirement plans for ways that you can actually make contributions now in order to get a deduction. Now, some of those options you actually have until April to make the contribution for it to count for this tax year, and other plans you don't. You've got to make it by December 31st. So make sure you figure out what type of plan you have, and you figure out what the rules are for that deduction. But consider making that contribution at the end of the year so that you can take a tax deduction for it. All right, and to do number 7, plan for next year. Now, I know everybody is planning what your promos are going to be and your goals and all of that, but are you planning the financial stuff? And what I specifically mean about this is looking at your systems and processes and figuring out if they make sense for you. Do you have that bank account? Do you have that accounting system? How are you invoicing people? Is it easy? Is it automatic? Or is it a very manual process? Can you automate it more? How are you handling your taxes? Do you have a system for calculating and paying your quarterly estimated taxes every quarter? Do you have a system for paying and preparing your taxes at the end of the year? If you pay sales tax, do you have a system for that? So looking at all the systems behind this stuff and thinking, where can I automate this? Where can I make this work better and smoother so that I don't have to do as much of the busy work next year, and instead I can focus on running my business and doing the stuff that I love. Cool? All right, and I think that is it. So look, I'm going to leave it there. We're going to end this one short because it is 2 days before Christmas, and I know everybody probably has a lot of stuff they still need to get done. If you are watching this on the replay and you've got questions for me, feel free to drop them in the comments, and I will come back and answer them very, very gladly. And I do just want to remind folks, hold on, I'm going to bring myself back here for a hot second. Bring us back here for a hot second while I talk to y'all. I do just want to remind everybody that, again, I have opened up spots for my 2021 Done For You tax prep package. It includes your tax return prep. It includes all of your quarterly estimates. It includes ongoing support to ask me all of your questions via Voxer for the entire year, actually through April of 2022. It also includes 4 quarterly check-in calls, plus a few fun other bonuses I've added in there. And most importantly, when you book by December 31st of this year, you are going to get 2 years of tax return prep for the price of one, because I'm going to throw in your 2020 tax return prep as well. So check out all the details and grab your spot by going to megkwheeler.com/tax. And friends, that is it for today. We will be back here. We're going to do a Tip Tuesday next week. We will also be back here to do a Q&A only inside of my private Facebook group, the Badass Moneymakers, which you can join by going to megkwheeler.com/group. And otherwise, I will see you then. If you celebrate, I hope you have a wonderful Christmas, and I'll see you all next week. Bye.